over the weekend, there was a serious controversy as two candidates emerged winner during the APC primaries election. Let's take a listen.
The suspected thugs had invaded Lodgeville Hotel, venue of the Collection Center, destroyed cameras belonging to the journalists, forcing officials and pressmen scampering for safety. Some INEC officials were not spared as they were manhandled. Governor Hope Uzodinma of Imo State, who is the Edo State Governorship Primary Election Committee Chairman, announced a current member of the House of Representatives winner of the parallel primary election. Governor Uzodinma claimed the winner polled over 40,000 votes to defeat other aspirants and will fly the party's flag in the September 2024 governorship election.
NS Afolabi Umakihe, 2 votes. And His Excellency Lucky Imasore, who withdrew, 2 votes. This is here, therefore, to certify, having scored the highest number of votes cast, is hereby declared the winner of the primaries and is returned as the candidate of all progressive Congress for the coming election.
In a twist of events, after the reconvening of the coalition process, the state returning officer, Dr. Stanley Uzuamaka, declared Senator Monday Okwebolo winner of the parallel primary election, having scored 12,145 votes to defeat other aspirants.
This is to certify that Senator Monday Okwebolo, having scored the highest number of votes cast, is hereby declared and announced as the gubernatorial flag bearer of our great party, APC.
Well, you've just seen it for yourself. 2 candidates announced, 1 political party, same day, same primaries. What we'll be looking at all that as we have someone join us now in the studio. He's a person of Comrade Zachary Idris. Welcome to the show, Comrade.
Thank you very much for having me. It's, like I always say, an absolute delight to have the opportunity to come here and share my thoughts on some of these very democratically teaching issues that we are still having to deal with some 20-something years into our democracy. Thank you so much.
All right, now walk us through the whole process. You actually kept up with the APC primaries election, I'm very sure. So looking at the announcement, what is your take?
As a keen political observer, it's important to state that I am not a member or I do not have any interest in the APC. But as a keen political observer and someone who is interested in who manages our state as from November 11th, 2024, I paid keen attention to what happened in the APC primary. I would have thought that we would make incremental progress, incremental democratic progress, as we in this our democratic journey, So I would have expected that APC as a party would make progress in terms of transparency, in terms of cohesion, especially as an opposition party. But
in the state.
But what we saw last Saturday is something very different from that. I dare say that it now seems to me that with every election cycle, the quality of our democratic processes declines. The process that midwifed, the primaries that midwifed Adams Oshomole in 2007 was significantly better than his return in 2012. The primaries, he was a sole candidate in 2012. So anything that produces a sole candidate, I don't call it democratic. That's more like a coronation. But when we go past 2012, in 2020, when it was about handing over, 2016, when it was about handing over, the political process, the democratic, the primary process that midwifed Obaseki getting the ticket was significantly more challenged than the one he had in 2012. You keep in mind that in 2020, the political process was so tensed, was so difficult, that the governor had to decamp from his party then to a new political party. That is a different conversation entirely, because he ended up displacing the traditional owners of that party. just to say that the democratic process, the primaries and midwife, that election in 2020 was even far more chaotic than the one of the prior 4-year cycle. Now, this is 2024, and you can see the political process on both sides, both PDP and APC. The primary process has been enmeshed in chaos, disruptions, and things that we do not expect to see in a democracy that is supposed to be making incremental progress. Look, the scriptures did not say become perfect. Scripture says strive for perfection. So the joy of our process should be in the striving. It means yesterday should be better than today, and tomorrow should be better than yesterday. But in a situation, just like our country, because our country is passing through similar cycles, just like our country, in a situation where today is better than yesterday, yesterday is better than today, it now seems to me that today will even be better than
So considering the outcome of the primaries election, what's the hope of APC in Edo State? As far as the election is concerned, September is just around the corner.
It's by the corner. I see a situation where it will be decided by the court, shamefully again. Elections, whether primaries or major elections, should be decided by the people. And the members of APC, I like their primary process, which is the direct primaries. But in a situation where the direct primaries is not able to produce a candidate that is generally acceptable to the people of that party, to the members of that party, it now gives us a situation where the judges, a process that could not be decided by, let's say, 100,000 party members, a 3-man judge will decide it. And there's nothing to celebrate in court cases deciding what the people's will should decide. But this is where we find ourselves. And I think they should have learned, both the leadership, I want to speak directly even to the leadership and even some of the members of these political parties, not just the APC, because PDP's own is cooking. It's only a matter of time it's going to be served. It's already cooking as we see it, because when you conduct a Congress that have 90% of the candidates protesting against the Congress, it is a recipe for disaster. So I would have expected that by now, political actors in our state should learn that it is what the people decide. If the people decide on a candidate, even if that candidate is the worst candidate on earth, there's a tendency for them to tolerate it. I saw it firsthand in the Buhari administration. Because people voted for him, no matter how crazy that administration was, people tend to tolerate it. But when you foist your interests on people, you are creating crisis. It has security implications both in the party and in the state. So I would think that by now, the people in those parties should have the fear of God. But clearly they don't. So I will suggest the Muslims there should go and say 4,000 Astaghfirullah. The Christians there should say Mary 4,000 times. And those who do not believe in any of these two religions, maybe they will have to meet Odumeje to use one of his powers to solve their problem. Maybe Abitu Sheikh or any of those other powers that he has. Because these people clearly have not, they've not learned anything from our democratic process, and they need deliverance. That's why I suggested Odumeje in the concluding part.
So you're involving Odumeje in this whole process.
I'm involving spiritual power.
If they don't learn, they might learn the hard way.
They might learn the hard way.
All right, it's okay. Do you foresee this whole saga ending before the main election? Because Prince Clem Agba is also angry with the process, and he's also he's a self-acclaimed winner now as far as the election is concerned. Okay. So how do we now strike a balance?
No, it's even more chaotic than you think. Prince Clem Agba is more or less himself. He has condemned the process, that the process is below par. Dekeri Anamero, just yesterday they have declared him winner. Okay. In a Congress, in the primaries, I do not understand. Monday Okpebolo has been declared winner. You know, it's crazy. I will explain this to you. Okay. The committee, the Hope Uzodinma committee, was inaugurated, was constituted to midwife this primary process.
Just to pretend the whole process.
Pretend. Now, in that same Hope Uzodinma committee, the state coalition officer of that committee declared a different result than the one the chairman, who is Hope Uzodinma, declared. So in a family,
is that not conflicting?
In a family, your wife is doing to Lagos, the husband is doing to Kano. That's exactly what has happened. The only place I'm still trying to get clarification, because I've been trying to get clarification, you know, When political processes even confuse those of us who are politically enlightened, you will know that there is a problem. If those of us who come to TV to shape public opinion cannot understand what goes on inside the politics, well, how do you expect the
so
woman in the market?
It's confusing your confusion at the
I am
moment.
even more confused than some people inside the party. So we want to know, what I want to know now is, okay, did the local government collation officer report to the state collation officer, or it is the ward collation officer that reported straight to Uzodinma? So it seems that some people reported to Uzodinma, some reported to state collation officer. Uzodinma declared one result, state collation declared another result, and the ridiculousness goes further. I give you an example. One of the candidates, I don't want to mention name because I don't give credence to people who don't respect themselves. One of the candidates scored 100 votes in the whole state. And the candidate, I am meant to understand, has what they call a agent, candidate agent. You know, we can't call them party agent, since this is intra-party. Candidate agent in the 192 ward. It then means that that candidate, having paid those agents to look at his election, to monitor his election, some of 92 of his agents voted for another party, if what they have declared is the truth. So it then means that agent got only 100 votes according to the Uzodinma. So if you look at the result, it looked like some people would just sit down in one room and decide what they want.
But the state APC, there seems not to be in accordance with the Hope Uzodinma-led committee, because they are actually not happy with the result. It seems from their body language, they are throwing their weight with another candidate. Or do you think always, who should we throw the weight on? Who should we?
I am not even interested in
who is to take the
for me, the end does not justify the means. The means is as important as the end. I am not interested in who wins. I am interested in entrenching democratic processes that are above par. That on Saturday after that primaries, people will go home and be happy and be drinking beer. Not that any time there is a democratic process, it will create a new round of crisis that we will have to deal with. So people who are elected to offices now will claim that in the first 1 year of my office, I was dealing with political problems. This is not the way.
So
and it starts with the primaries.
To focus on governance.
Absolutely. And it starts with the primary. So I am not so interested in who wins. The state chapter is supporting another person. The national chapter has congratulated another person. What is that? Because it's not Fuji House of Commotion. You know Fuji House of Commotion now. One man with many wives and everybody acting in different direction. That's exactly what we have.
How do we now strike a balance moving forward?
That's why I said they should repent earlier. These people don't have the fear of God. I keep insisting on it. Maybe I talk about it too much. If you have the fear of God, you'll be measured in the way you do your things. I know they tell me that politics is a game. I do not believe that politics is a game. Politics is service. Politics is social service. And when you are going to give social services, your attitude, your approach to it must be different. It's like you want to give me water to drink, you put a 20-liter gallon of water in my mouth. You do not intend to give me water, you intend to kill me. And that's exactly what they are doing. This is not how to play games when it comes to politics. You should be measured in your approach. You should be measured in the way you carry yourself. You should be measured in your democratic processes. You should be more concerned about how your children will see you. Your children watching the TV at home. Imagine your children watching you as an elderly man. You are misbehaving like this, and you expect your children not to cheat in exams. Think about it for a moment. You as a politician, you keep your children in Canada, and then you come to Nigeria to steal elections. And you think your children will not do drugs later in life? That is why most of their children are going in different directions. It's time for them to repent. And like I said, the Muslim 4,000 astaghfirullah. The Catholics, Hail Mary 4,000 times in the middle of Ring Road. And those who cannot approach those two, maybe they should meet Odumeje and all other prophets, Abitu Sheka, Gandu Kagansa, all those other powers to help them because they need help.
Okay. Do you think
it's not meant to be funny, it's a serious matter.
Your suggestions are fine. It's okay. I just hope they take it to heart. However, do you think this will impact the electionary process? Will the people trust these two parties now? Looking at what has happened, will Edolites still queue behind any of these political parties? Looking at the critical outcome of their primary election.
Like I told you, we are talking APC today. I am sure that in another 1 week, we'll be talking about PDP because their own is cooking. Their own is buffet. This one is a la carte. PDP's own is buffet. Is serve yourself. That's what's going to happen there. Because in a situation where 9 is against 1, it is a recipe for disaster. And when I meet some of these political players, I suggest to them that the way you conduct yourself is far better than the way you conduct yourself is more important, I mean to say, than even the outcome of any process. For example, why would a governor be oppressing a deputy because he indicated interest to want to be a governor? You can as well leave him, give him his allocation, keep him in his office, and use your power as governor to support whoever you want to support. But in a situation where you begin to undermine, when you begin to compromise, not because we are not talking about the gentleman who occupies the office. We are talking of the office of the deputy governor, a co-heir. You know, they say we are heir of the father. We are joint heirs with the son. He's a joint heir with you in this job. And then you compromise him like that. Who will want to become a deputy governor tomorrow when a deputy governor can be treated less than an SSA? So this is the recipe. This is the things that these people do not understand. It seems that as soon as you get to some levels of political power, once you now become an elite, a political elite, it seems there is a thing that takes over them. It seems that there are things that talk to them that me and you do not hear. That is why when Voice of Reason speaks, they seem not to really understand that Voice of Reason is speaking. That's why I talked about the need for demonification. There's denazification, demonification. You remove the demons in them. You do deliverance for them, both spiritual and physical. That is what I am talking about. So, and you saying what will now happen? The people of Nigeria should not even trust these gentlemen. APC, PDP. There's a reason for it. We have gave them this country since 1999. 1999 to 2020, a child that was born 1999 is now 25 years old. Some of them are married. I know one 25-year-old that already has a child. So if we are giving you a country for 25 years to run, and you are neither giving us results, if you are running your own private enterprise for 25 years, and you are doing what Michael Jackson does, moonwalking. You are instead of going to the front, you are actually sliding to the back, and it seems like you are going to the front. And you expect me to trust you? A 25-year-old, you do not know your right from your left. You do not know the center. How do we trust you then? Okay. So the people should not trust them. The only thing is that we are caught between the devil and the hard place. And then in front we have the deep blue.
But will this now give other political parties opportunity to outshine these two major players in the state?
The challenge I have is that most of the other political parties, it is those who are angry, who feel like they've been maltreated. In these CMS twins, PDP and APC, they have the same umbilical cord when they were born that goes to populate those parties. I have advised prior, and I want to suggest again, it is your job to protect your party from those who are coming from those parties. They don't bring anything good into it. Anything they touch turns to dust. That is why you have to protect. But the smaller parties have not learned. You know, money, they say money is the love of money, not money, because we all like money, we all want money. But the love of money is the root of all evil. So anywhere there is love of money, chances are that evil will begin to plant its root there. That's why I fear for the littler political parties.
Now, Abdullahi Ganduje, the national leader of the APC, actually congratulated one of the winners, Dennis Idausa. And prior to the primaries election, there were speculations that one of the leaders in Edo State, who is the current Senator Adams Oshomole and two-time governor of the state, actually had a choice candidate or anointed candidate, as it were. And the whole thing actually played out when Hope Uzodimma announced that same particular candidate as the winner from his own led team. Now, do you think the Hope Uzodimma's team were only playing to the gallery?
I would say this in a very measured manner. I do not want to subscribe to the fact I do not have supernatural powers like Abitu Sheka to know what goes on. You've been
speaking like a spiritualist.
To know what goes on in the mind of a man, to know who Comrade Adams was supporting. But let us even assume that what you have posited is correct and he had a preferred candidate. At this point, is comrade not supposed to be aware that it is dangerous to have a preferred candidate in the democratic process? Has he not learned anything from history? It's my father. I respect him. He's one of our leaders in the North. He's the leader, he's our supremo in Edo North. As a young child in 2000, as a young boy in 2007, we look up to him, and we still look up to him because he happens to have been, he's a good man. But you should have learned by now that you should not have preferred candidate in this kind of processes. The reason is simple. In 2016, you had a preferred candidate. The preferred candidate declared you persona non grata in a state that you are referred to as the father of modern. You are referred to as the father of modern Edo State. But your preferred candidate in 2016 declared you persona non grata in your own state. So much so that you, as a father that you are in this state, you have to relocate to go and stay in Abuja. Is that not sufficient to know that a preferred candidate should not even come to your mind? What you should do is to create a level playing field, as it were, and let the best man, in this case, win. In 2020, he had a preferred candidate. Agreed that his preferred candidate of 2016, he did no longer prefer him in 2020. But in 2020, he now preferred another candidate. As we speak, the group in APC, the Regenade group in APC, is led by that your preferred candidate in 2020. And in 2024, you are still repeating the same mistake of having a preferred candidate.
Now, the preferred candidate in 2020 was disqualified.
No, it was not his preferred. It was the governor that was disqualified. His preferred candidate won. But his preferred candidate in 2020 is leading the charge now from the opposition in his party in 2020.
But he was actually kicked out. But however, from the NWC, he got his way back in the build-up to the primaries.
He got his way back in the build-up to the primary. Now that preferred candidate is leading the charge against him.
Currently, as we speak.
Currently, as we speak. Comrade is a Catholic. That's why I suggested at the middle of Ringo in the night, 4,000 primaries, to stop all repeating one mistake persistently without learning from it as a father. So it's my father, I want to learn from him. And when I see him like this, some of us were in the APC because we believed in him, we believed in his leadership. But when you see everybody pulling in different directions, some of us now have to step back. So we no longer trust certain judgment. I don't want to say his judgment because I respect him a lot.
Okay. Now, looking at the whole scenario now, do you think APC got the capacity to take over Osadebe Avenue from this current government or the PDP?
One of the mistakes that these two big parties are making is that they believe they have one power kept somewhere. One believe that they have federal might. The other believe that they have state resources and state might. But I promise them, so help me God, it's only the people's might that will prevail. Will the people's might prevail? Yeah, we will ensure in those states we are proven beyond reasonable doubt. It might end up that the people's might will favor any of the two of them. That is a real possibility. Because when we have different parties, when we have multiple evils, we have to choose the lesser evil. There is no room for independent candidacy yet in our political sphere. So it might end up that the people's will favor one of them. But the way they are conducting themselves, no man should play God. Okay. So it is the people's will that will win eventually.
All right. Now, in the build-up to the election, there was a serious clamor for power shift to Edo Central. But however, just like that, the thing just went into the tin of the air. Across party lines, nobody's talking about power shift again. What says you?
Usually, the democratic processes are the voice of the few, the choice of the majority. We must acknowledge that the numbers are actually not there. So political parties are trying to measure, you know. They want to, the average political party wants to win elections.
The numbers are not there.
In terms of the state population, the majority of the population is here in Edo South, around 55%, around 30-somethings in Edo North, around 15 thereabouts is in Edo Central. That's according to statistics. I didn't put it up. So if anybody who does not like it, you will have to talk to somebody elsewhere, not here. But there is the principle of equity, justice, and fairness, which suggests that intelligent people who can run a state are not only domiciled in one part of that state. What that means is that it makes sense that after a certain number of years in a place, power should go round. And I subscribe to it, that when power has resided in a place for some time, it should go elsewhere, so that everybody feels a sense of belonging. Especially in a country like our own, where nepotism, favoritism is the order of the day. We cannot solve our problems overnight. We cannot ask people to be un-nepotistic. But we can suggest that power should go around. You see the nepotism when if a man from a certain place is in government, the lingua franca of government house becomes the language of that man.
But is it normal?
It is not normal. It's one of the abnormalities. It's one of those things that we need to note down for deliverance sake going forward. But we have not gotten there yet. We are now saying because of this nepotistic tendency, let power go around so that everybody has a feel of it. And because charity begins at home, not charity the girl, normal charity begins at home, it makes sense that when you give power to a certain place, that person will in turn develop the place. Agreed that there are some that when you give them power, they don't develop the place, they develop a different state. A different state different from their state. That's not what we are talking about today. But when you give power to these people, they will most likely touch the life of their people. Edo Central today is like a deserted place. There is no road in Edo Central. Some of the villages are completely cut off. So it makes sense that power should go there. But as we are saying it, we should say it with a lot of respect to other ethnicities. If we do it violently, if we do it aggressively, people may read ulterior motives to it. And these people hold the knife and they hold the yam. So it's appeal, appeal, appeal. Concession, concession, concession. Negotiation, negotiation, negotiation.
Okay, now let's upscale this discussion a little bit higher. We've seen cases where a successive government throw blames on people they take over power from. And when they try to settle down in office, the thing you hear is we took over an economy that is bad, the government is not working well. How can Nigeria walk away from this stage of blame games in our political phase?
Once you take over leadership, you have lost your right to excuses. If you want to make an excuse, don't take leadership, come on TV like us every morning and debate issues and lament. I can sit down here and write the book of lamentation. I am allowed because it is my job to criticize government. I am not in government. The moment I leave you here and go to contest the election and I win, I have lost the right to complain. Government offices is not a place for lamentation. Government offices is a place for finding solutions. The job of leadership is solution, providing solution, is not lamentation. This idea of when you come, you will look for 10,001 things to talk about your predecessor has to stop. There's a saying, if you want to do something, you look for a way. If you do not want to do a thing, you look for an excuse. When you start failing, you look for how to blame it on any other person apart from yourself. If you know that it was so difficult, why did you contest to go into the office?
Now, the APC at the federal level, this seems to be the applied because APC is blaming APC for the failure of APC. So how do we strike a balance? And APC at this point is battling to take over power in Edo State.
I don't want to connect the federal to the state. Our election is a local election. Local battles are fought locally. So we are going
you think there won't be any federal interference? Yeah, there won't be federal interference?
Well, let's pray there will be no federal interference. But like I told you, our politicians, most of them don't think correctly. That's why we need that delivery. We'll talk about it maybe in a spiritual program.
Okay, let's quickly now nip it quickly. Okay, land on your thought.
APC cannot blame the previous APC government because they were part and parcel of midwifing that government. Agreed that the president then, the skin was as thick as that of an elephant. Even if you pour acid on it, it will not go in. So criticism did not meet him, complaint did not meet him. So he created an avenue for the economy to further cool. But since he left, things have tumbled 3 times more. He left dollar at $580. Dollar today is $1,650. $10,000 used to be $5.8 million. $10,000 today is $16.5 million. We are now in what they call multidimensional poverty. Poverty in different ways. You cannot eat, you don't have roof over your head, you don't have clothes to wear, you don't have anything. Maslow's hierarchy of needs have been completely removed from the life of Nigerians. So if you cannot have where to sleep, you don't have food to eat, what is your take? Why are you living?
What's the essence of living?
That is why you see crime is skyrocketing. Hunger has national security implications. A hungry man, they say, is an angry man. It's not just a cliche, it's a fact. When a person is hungry, ordinary money for food will motivate that person to commit the sin or the crime of murder. That's where we are now. If this government knows what is good for them, and we have land, we have water.
With the hunger in the land, won't voters in Edo State be induced to go against their wish?
There is a tendency, inducement comes from both sides. That's why I don't like to blame only the APC. PDP also shares the blame. These are the two political parties that have run this country.
Okay.
And in 16 years, they've been running this country. The military, as bad as the military were in 1999, I think dollar was 20-something naira. I was a very young person there, but I know. Today, dollar is 1,600. How do you now convince people that these bad boys that came from the so-called bad boys, in quotes, that came from the barracks, you that is wearing agbada, you are better than them?
Okay,
I don't want to insinuate anything.
Thank you so much. We'd like to extend the front line of this discussion probably some other time.